Prema Murthy grew up in Madras, India, with her father, mother and younger brother. She was born in India to a middle-class family. Her background is Indian from both her mother and her father's side. She attended both primary and secondary school in India. Saman Bangalore grew up in Melbourne, Australia, with her father, mother and younger sister. She was born into a middle-class family with an Indian background from both her mother and father's side. She is first-generation Australian-born and attended both primary and secondary school in Australia. North defines social justice as a concept where individuals and groups must be treated with fairness and respect. Social justice within education also means that all are entitled to resources and benefits the school has to offer. Prema experienced social justice positively when she moved to a Telugu community. As she did not understand Telugu, she was unable to understand what was taught to her. However, her teachers gave her opportunities to learn the language, such as allowing her to attend their Telugu classes and explain to her in English what was being taught in class, to ensure that she was not disadvantaged in any of her studies. This is an example of social justice, as it provided Prema with the equal opportunity to participate in her classes and remove language barriers. Saman also experienced social justice in a positive manner at school. Saman's school gave her opportunities to develop her learning through maths and English enrichment programs, as she was struggling to understand what was being taught to her in class. This is an example of social justice, as it provided Saman with the equal opportunity to participate in her classes despite the learning difficulties she encountered. Identity refers to the various individualized characteristics by which a person is recognized. In relation to whether teachers impact student identity, Prema believes that both primary and secondary teachers can equally impact student identity due to the children's impressible age and their need for guidance. Prema believes that schooling shaped her identity by providing her role models through her teachers, whom inspired her love for teaching and working with little children. Saman believes that both primary and secondary teachers have the capacity to impact student identity because of the guidance and lessons they teach their students. She believes that schooling shaped her identity as she discovered her love for music through music classes and her passion for working with and teaching children in a classroom environment. Belonging is defined as a person's membership of and acceptance by a group or society. Prema experienced belonging positively through acceptance by her friends. Her friends at school motivated her to study, encouraged her to work hard during her assessments, and guided her through the depression she faced when their teacher passed away. Saman initially experienced belonging negatively at school, as she was bullied by popular children and had no one to play with at recess and lunch. However, when she entered secondary school, Saman became more confident and was able to make friends more easily through mutual interests and hobbies, and therefore felt like she belonged more in secondary school than she did in primary school. Inclusion is defined as the process of improving the terms for individuals and groups to take part in society. Prema explained that when she arrived in the Telugu community, she came from a background where she was not familiar with Telugu and felt disadvantaged. However, she was immediately accepted into the community despite the language barriers present, and her teachers were proactive in helping her learn Telugu. Saman explained that while she did not feel included in primary school, when she entered secondary school, she was able to make friends more easily. Through music tuition, Saman was able to befriend other people who were also learning a musical instrument and participate with them in extracurricular activities such as school bands. Othering is defined as the perception that an entity, person, is distinct in relation to other entities. Prema did not experience othering during primary or secondary school and was surrounded by friends and teachers who supported her through tough times. Although she was picked on by certain students a few times, she was always supported by her teachers who stood up for her and ensured that those students would not trouble Prema in the future. However, Saman experienced a form of othering during primary school when popular kids used to pick on her because she was Indian. The children at school would comment on her background and insult her because she was the only Indian in her class. Although some teachers did support Saman through this bullying, the bullies would still continue picking on her, which made her feel like she did not belong at school and made her ashamed of her cultural background. This links to the Burnett article, which explains the process of othering. The article also explains how educators should be aware of cultural constructions of the other and guide their students in their interaction with marginalized groups. Prema experienced cultural inequity as she was forced to forfeit her passion to enter the medical profession. Her mother maintained the cultural view that women should not become doctors and should instead get married and live with their husband. As a result of this, Prema was forced to complete a Bachelor of Arts degree, as opposed to a degree in medicine. This illustrates how cultural views can cause gender imbalance. Reflecting on her decision now, Prema regrets not pursuing her passion in medicine, but is thankful that she became a teacher instead, stating that education is my field. I love teaching people. Saman did not experience this form of cultural expectations and was encouraged by her parents to pursue a career of her choice. Instead of choosing a career based on gender domination, Saman chose a career that she had a passion for and a degree that would assist her in achieving her professional aspirations. This relates to the Millennium Development Goal to promote gender equality and empower women. This target was set by the United Nations to eliminate gender disparity in all levels of education by 2015 and encourage women to enter various industries, despite the male domination. The Millennium Development Goal ensures that women are not subject to entering fields because of gender participation, thus providing them with the equal opportunity of pursuing a career of their choice. In summary, Prema experienced social justice when she moved to a Telugu community, as her teachers proactively ensured that language barriers would not disadvantage her education. She felt included in her school community by her friends and her teachers, who supported and encouraged her throughout her schooling life. Her teachers ultimately were her role models, who encouraged her love for teaching and were her inspiration in her professional career. Saman experienced social justice when her school provided her with programs to guide her learning when she experienced learning difficulties. Although she felt as if she did not belong in primary school, when she reached secondary school, she began to befriend those with similar interests to her and felt more inclusive in her school community. Saman's identity changed throughout her schooling life, as she became more confident about herself and began to embrace her cultural background, rather than being ashamed of it. As a future educator, I'm going to ensure that the students I teach all have equal opportunity in my classes by proactively removing language barriers, learning difficulties, and other inequities through special programs or guided workshops. I am also going to be aware of the process of othering and how it affects the classroom environment to ensure that my students are not subject to feeling ashamed of their culture, race, social class, or any part of their identity.